We are live, people! Welcome to the service. Oh my god, there's too much to talk about. It's crazy how the music, though, today is perfectly matching the graphics. Right? Look at the graphics and listen to the music. It's really doing a nice build-up. It's because it's like slow shots, and then the music is like ding. So it just feels like a matching. And then that beat hit right on that. That's crazy. I didn't plan that. That's crazy. Welcome to the service, everyone. Man, there's so much to talk about today. I'm like, it's hard to write. I don't know what to write. I'll be back, though. Get comfortable. Saw some people in the comment congregation. Very good karmas, y'all. Very good karmas. This one has it. Yeah. We're gonna have some very important discussions for the community today. Very important discussions. Lots to talk about, man. Nazi Gate. Diligent Dabber is here. Diligent, what's up, baby? Sorry, I did not get back to you. I said I would call you, and I did not call you. Sorry, baby. Love you. I don't call anyone, though. Listen, dude, it's a lot. You know? Haven't called my sister. You know what I'm saying? I haven't messaged back girls after a first date, and then they just fizzle out. I don't call anyone, dude. It's not even like I'm having sex with people. I literally go on a date. It's great. I don't call the person back. It's an issue, brother. It's a big problem we're going to have to fix. We're going to work on it today, though. We're working on it right now, y'all. We're working on it right now, y'all. Someone in the comments actually called us out for jacking someone's thumbnail. We'll have a discussion on that. We're going to be having a discussion on that. Don't you worry. That's very good karmas in the community. Keeping me honest. Keeping the channel honest. Making sure that we are righteous. Making sure that we are righteous. Let me find that comment, actually. I should find that. It says no data. What? What is... It says excellent connection. Okay, God is great. Oh, sorry. Just freaking out there for a second, guys. Come on in. Welcome to the service, y'all. Welcome to the service. Tune in, turn on, and drip out. That's not a bad slogan for us, right? You know, we gotta talk about... We got so much to talk about. I've been reading these Chuang Tzu. I've been listening to and then reading because I'm listening to it. Because I'm working on this new sketch series called The Highest Teaching, and I want to do it like, it's like drunk history, but we're going to do banger-ass teachings. So I'm going to be trying out a couple here too. But I have like my writing partner working on it with me. So it's like we want to do it like sketches, do the act outs, play the characters, do the act outs. But I do want to review a couple of good like poems and stories that we're thinking about. We might not even use these ones, but Chuang Tzu has the best stuff, people. Very high vibration. Very high vibration. Lots to talk about today. Someone in the comments actually last week called us out. I love I'm saying us. Called us out for stealing someone's thumbnail. We got called out, guys. We got called out. I'm sorry. But the community has spoken, and we are not supposed to be taking thumbnails from other channels. So we got to review the Chanakya dialogues today. We do have to do a quick rip on that. Before I get to that, though, I do have 2 shows on Friday. Make sure you check out my Instagram, Instagram.com/FadeToBrown. Go over there. Oh, my God. I am just loving... There's this new guy that I found. Hold on. Stay right there. There's this new guy that I found on Instagram. I watched him for an hour and a half yesterday. It's honestly, it's not, I know it's not healthy, but it's like the guy is so, it's better than any comedy. Like I'm writing, I'm TV and I'm working, whatever. But like nobody is doing comedy as good as this guy. This guy is hilarious. So I'm just going to show you a couple here. But anyway, this is a show that I'm doing on Friday night. This is a show at the Real Jerk Legacy. 2 shows on Friday, both great, I said. Why does it have that at the bottom, though? What the hell is going on here? Oh, there we go. Yeah, so this is one thing that you should all know about. But let's watch all the stories that are there. This is Friday Night Laughs. This is my mom watching. This is like honestly my mom's favorite show.
There's nothing better than a big juicy one.
Look at his. It's crazy because like you obviously set up the show like this. He always. It's a great just ongoing bit. This is an incredible bit that they've discovered here with the show. Because I don't think it was working for like 10 years. Then Steve Harvey comes in. He's kind of stank. He kind of like gives people lectures in real life. I think I saw a clip of him one time being like, "What do you mean you don't believe in God? What the hell kind of people don't believe in God?" And it's like, dude. And he yells at people for getting a divorce. He's like, "These young people don't have commitment," or whatever. He's divorced 3 times. He like leaves his wives, no problem. Anyway, it doesn't matter because the character, he's basically like a stank. He's almost like half church father figure as a human being. And then they just set him up with these questions. And this is like the 4th answer down. They're like, "Nothing better than a big juicy." Come on, brother. My mom loves it. That's my mama. She loves it, dude. It's her favorite show. And sometimes she'll even comment on like, look, oh my God, black guy always like this. This black guy always do like this. Funny guy. Like she thinks it's so funny. But she blames all the humor on just him being black. And she says it like that. Look, black. Oh my God, black. So look what he did. You see, black people all like this or they're black. That's how she talks about it. Dancing and joking and all these black people always like that. That's her appreciation though. She loves it. She's a big comedy fan. It's a shout out. She's basically saying black people are best at comedy is what she's saying. She loves black comedy. She doesn't see the hard shit, but like anyone like this, she loves it. This is amazing. But let's forward this. This is not relevant.
Follow my fingers. Look down. Sleep. That's it. Let it go. NASA is planning on going to Mars. And we've got you here, our first Martian, when I count to 3. It's 1, 2, 3. Just sit up, open your eyes.
Oh no, you gotta watch it over there. Okay, cool. Let's not.
All right, fellas, I'm ready to fudge.
Oh my gosh!
You want me on top?
No, I'll be on top.
This is great. Overtime. Bam! Dude, that's a nice shot.
What the?
I like this too.
It used to be the stuff of science.
That's also the kind of thing my mom would see and be like, "Oh my God, look, black. Say, they black people are always dancing good. They know how dancing, they can do it." She'll even tell me, she's like, "You can't do comedy. Comedy have to be some like like a black guy. It's funny, they are funny. You not funny." That's what she would say. Anyway, let's forward it.
It used to be the stuff.
No. Oh, that's it. Where's my other shows? I had 2. Oh my God. I really got it. This was an incredible show, by the way. Revival 1863. Amazing. But I have 2 shows coming up in Kincardine, and then there's a Halloween show that's happening in Toronto. I'm going to post it on this. I got to post it in the channel, man. This is my next thing before I come online, is I got to do my Instagram karmas. I just haven't done my Instagram karmas. But this Friday, there's 2 shows. Oh my God. These stories, they disappear. How do I go into my old stories? Because I swear I posted it yesterday and I was like, okay, I'll just play these during the podcast, get all the shows, upcoming shows done out of the way. Then we go into our topics, but here we go. Anyway, the good thing is that even when I'm promoting, it's hilarious, isn't it? Right? We can all agree on that, right? In the community, right? Let's go into our first topic, shall we? I've been watching this guy. He's incredible. Not watching. It's like more like I've been listening to this ancient Hindu this philosopher, Chuang Tzu. and from ancient China. And honestly, this guy, you hear some of the stuff. If you're ready for it, instant raise in vibration. Instant raise in vibration. So I want to read a little story actually from one of the from Chuang-Tzu. Actually, let's pull up a picture of Chuang-Tzu while I read it. Let's honor him, right? Let's honor Chuang-Tzu. It's weird that they draw him like this because I always see him as more of a Bodhidharma type, but let me just show you a picture of him. What a great guy, man. Incredible teachings. These teachings are going to, if they don't raise the vibration, I don't know what the hell is going to raise your goddamn vibrations, y'all. I don't know what the hell is going to raise your vibrations. But honestly, like, these pictures don't do him justice, if I'm being honest. Like, this one kind of does. Wait, can you see that? This one kind of does. But it's not quite like it, because it shows him being silly. But Chuang-Tzu, if you don't know, is like a ancient Chinese mystic, philosopher, poet, writer. And he basically wrote like a comedy book-ish. And it's very funny. You got to get into it. Here's a quote. Your life has a limit, but knowledge has none. If you use what is limited to pursue what has no limit, you will be in danger. That one doesn't really do it. The Chuang-Tzu, he's great. You know how he should be drawn? Actually, I know it's like different, but okay, this is Bodhidharma, right? This guy has really drawn himself as a silly guy, okay? And this is how we should think of Chuang-Tzu. It's not Chuang-Tzu, but I want you to think of him. Like, look how silly this guy is. His one picture, he's always got the big eye, like a lot of big eye pictures, which is like a way of making people silly. And then this one, look at his hair's a mess. He's usually like overweight. He doesn't care, right? And that's what they're trying to tell you, is to be more like this. So I'm going to read a quick thing, and then we're going to go into our first topic. Oh, and then we'll do comments. We'll go into our first topic. So let's read it, okay? This is a poem by Chuang-Tzu. And it's really an attack on the political class. So let's read it. And hey, let me put on some music for it. Let's put on like a nice little... No. Yeah, sure. That's like a nice wisdom. Can you guys hear the music okay? Yeah, that's good. Okay, cool. Huitsu was the prime minister of Liang. He had what he believed to be inside information, that Chuang-Tzu coveted his post and was plotting to supplant him. When Chuang-Tzu came to visit Liang, the prime minister sent out police to arrest him. But although they searched for 3 days and nights, they could not find him. Meanwhile, Chuang-Tzu presented himself to Huitsu of his own accord and said, "Have you heard of the bird that lives in the south? The phoenix that never grows old? This undying phoenix rises out of the South Sea and flies to the seas of the north, never alighting except on certain sacred trees. He will touch no food but the most exquisite rare fruit, and he drinks only from the clearest springs." Once an owl, chewing an already half-decayed dead rat, saw the phoenix fly over. Looking up, he screeched with alarm and clutched the dead rat to himself in fear and dismay. "Prime Minister, why are you so frantic, clinging to your ministry and screeching at me in dismay?" So if you guys understood that, that was a big rip. Sorry, I should not be showing this right here. If you guys didn't understand that was a big rip on the political class, you could say. It really, and a lot of these guys, they really teach that like the political mind, they basically say like the political mind is basically a low vibrational mind, and it's built to just, it's living in so much darkness and ignorance that it's just constantly creating problems for itself. Like, Chuang-Tzu is a philosopher. And basically in this story, in the poem that he tells, Chuang-Tzu is like the phoenix from the south. And the politician is like an owl eating a half-decayed dead rat. Let's go through it again. It's so powerful. I mean, you got to let it hit you. Listen, it might not be for everyone, but for those of you that it's hitting, it should create a nice raise in vibration. At least show you the things that people do that keeps them low in vibration. And really, the political class, according to these guys, they're top in the world, but in as far as the righteousness scale goes, as far as like whatever, they're the lowest vibration. They're basically all traumatized people. And this is going to relate to our first topic, but let's go through it again. Huitsu was Prime Minister of Liang. He had what he believed to be inside information. See, so already, this is how these politicians act. You look at all the censorship going on in our culture today. This is what they're doing. In Canada right now, they just passed a thing. They're going to start censoring podcasts to make sure it's not to make sure it's not dangerous disinformation. Shut up. Who do you think you are? The government now wants to start regulating podcasts. You don't have any money. Idiots. Regulate podcast? There's 1 billion of them. Everyone's got a podcast. We got 6 people here. I'm doing a goddamn podcast with 6 people. We're all doing podcasts, you idiots. Who's going to re-watch this Canadian government? It's so dumb. And it's very liberal. Conservatives don't like it. It's the liberal politician. And this does show the evil of the liberal political mind. And the conservatives do it on their issues too. But this is what politicians do. Because they're low in vibrations, they make up problems. They project problems. Huitsu was the Prime Minister of Liang. He had what he believed to be inside information that Chuang-Tzu coveted his post. Why would Chuang-Tzu? This guy's cool as fuck. He's probably just traveling around, doing poetry, banging bitches. He doesn't give a shit, dude. What, he wants to be a politician? You're crazy. So he had what he believed to be inside information that Chuang-Tzu coveted his post and was plotting to supplant him. When Chuang-Tzu came to visit Liang, the Prime Minister sent out the police to arrest him. Again, we're seeing a lot of this in the community today, in the culture today, from the politicians, from the political class, from the so-called upper class, the management class. This is what they do. And these predictions that they made, this is 2,000 years old, this poem, but it still works today. They're always doing this shit. You could say that Chuang-Tzu is Joe Rogan, and you could say that the collective, we got to cancel him. He did dangerous misinformation. They're like the political class. And this is 2,000 years ago, this is written, and it was happening then, and it happens now. All this is written. This is from the Warring States period in ancient China. So at that time, they were seeing, empires come and go, and you know what I mean? They were so wise, and our human nature hasn't changed that much. So it's basically all the same things. You can just it totally relates. But this is the political mind. Chuang-Tzu is in his own world. So now this is what Chuang-Tzu... So this is interesting too. They sent 3 police out to arrest him. See, it's just like the podcasting. Oh, we're gonna make a board to check your podcast, to check your disinformation in your podcast. It's like, idiots. You're never gonna find it. You're gonna catch some guy like Joe Rogan, who's a great guy, and he says some dumb shit, but who cares? You're going to catch him, and then some other person's going to be saluting a Nazi. You're going to let that go. You can't get the guy. So they go out for 3 days and nights to arrest him. He's so cool and so in his own world, probably just, he probably just had some open mics, some poetry readings, Chuang-Tzu. Those 3 nights, probably not even thinking that these guys are after me. He's probably doing some poetry reading somewhere, doing something. Banging bitches after the show, because he was a big guy. That's why this guy thinks he's after him, because he was famous at the time. He shows up himself. He shows up on his own accord. Meanwhile, Chuang-Tzu presented himself to Huitsu of his own accord and said, "This is where the rip starts, though. Have you heard about the bird that lives in the south, the phoenix that never grows old? This undying phoenix rises out of the South Sea and flies to the seas of the north, never alighting except on certain sacred trees. He will touch no food but the most exquisite rare fruit, and he drinks only from the cleanest springs." That's Chuang-Tzu. Living, really getting the best out of life. Making art, being genuinely himself, and making art, and doing what he loves. That's what he is. That's what being a true artist is. And you should all be artists in your own life. You should be genuine. You should be doing things that you love. It's true. Now, the politician is a fake piece of shit. So this is what he says about the politician. He says, once an owl, the owl is the politician, chewing an already half-decayed dead rat, saw the phoenix fly over. Looking up, he screeched with alarm and clutched the dead rat to himself in fear and dismay. God, no, it's mine. You can't have it. This is what politicians do. They fight for power. You know, this dead rat is basically what he's saying, like, the day-to-day moments of a politician's life, or like someone just trying to get rich, or someone who's fake, the day-to-day moments of that life are like feeding on a half-decayed dead rat. Compared to someone who is genuine and real and doing their own shit, that person is, you know, he's only sitting on the most sacred trees. He's getting the best out of life, she or whoever. Truly being themselves. The person chasing after money, being a politician, whatever, it's a fake life. Your moment-to-moment life. And it's so funny how true this is. And this happens in all industries, even inside of comedy. There's competitive guys. They're politicians. They're fake. There's competitive guys, and they're like social climbers. So if someone's above them, they kiss their ass. If someone's below them, they treat them like shit. And they're always like, what do you think? You're going to get my spot? And it's like, dude, I'm doing bigger things than you. You're like, nobody cares about your spot, dude. Nobody's trying to take your spot. It sucks. Prime Minister, are you so frantic, clinging to your ministry and screeching at me in dismay? He basically comes and says, listen, baby. You know, that's probably the most hurtful thing you can do to the guy. Because the politician's probably thinking like, well, also you don't even care. So you don't even want what I'm doing. Yeah, you're right, I suck. Oh, God. I'm a phony. That's probably what would happen. Top 10 says Khalistan Zindabad. We'll get to it. Justin Conscious says high vibes teaching. Very good. Sending you love from Chicago, Baba Amish. Thanks, Max Power. What do you guys think of that teaching, though? Very powerful. And it does relate to the political topic that we're going to do first. There's so many topics. Oh, we got to talk about the thumbnail. Because someone posted in the comments, and maybe we should bring up that guy's comment, too. Let's do our due diligence here, y'all. Let's do our due diligence. Make sure we're doing our karmas righteously. We got to make sure we're doing our karmas righteously. Can someone leave a comment to make sure it's still working? Because I just went to a different window and I don't want to... Oh, my God. All right, let's see. Okay, we got... Wow, we got 112 subs in the last 28 days. That's great, people. Very good karmas. And our views, watch time, and estimated revenue are up. So that's good. Very good karmas, everyone. You guys want to look at channel analytics? You want to look at it? Want to look at what's happening behind the scenes, y'all? Let's look at it. I'll show you. I know that half of you guys probably want to start a podcast. Who else would listen to this? It's probably like half of you want to start a podcast, so you're like, I watched this guy's podcast. Here we go. Look at that. Look at them channel analytics. Everything's up, baby. The numbers are all up. 112 up subscribers. But we don't have an editor, so now I got to figure out how to edit or something. I need an editor, or I don't know. Because our editor is, yeah. It's not there, but listen, everything's up, and that's all you can ask for and hope for. God is great. You're doing great. Great work out there. Great work in the community. Let's see. Live. Let's see. This guy. Okay, he says, bro, the thumbnail is a blatant copy of the channel Chanakya Dialogues English. Yes, Phoenix Legend 942. Phoenix Legend 69420 69420. Wow, this guy, coming out to tell us. But interesting that he calls himself Phoenix Legend. This guy is actually like the Chuang Tzu character in the last parable we did. Because his name is Phoenix Legend. Right? Isn't that a synchronicity? I didn't plan that. I did not remember his name. Synchronicity. And then the numbers, what does he do? 69,420. Of course. This guy's living a genuine life. He's doing exactly what he wants to do. He's doing exactly what he wants to do. Anyway, thank you for that. You're right. We got to talk about Chanakya Dialogues. Real quick, let's get into Chanakya Dialogues. So this is a YouTube channel, very inspirational, very excellent YouTube channel. And look, if I'm being honest, I think, you know, one of the issues, this guy's a war general from India, and that's where we got today's thumbnail from, and last episode's thumbnail. We were supposed to do a thumbnail review last episode, but we just didn't get around to it. So let's do it now. And let's talk about these thumbnails, man. They are quite the mess. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at these. The one that we have for today's video is basically like he has Hitler, you know, with a swastika on his forehead or something like that. Like, it's crazy. Let's go here. No, here. Okay. Trudeau royally ignored by U.S. Niger on back burner. Yeah, no, this whole situation, it's so sad because for Trudeau, and if you guys don't know what's happening right now, so there's two stories that we got to cover today, and just in general, ongoingly. One is the Khalistan, and I love Khalistan, and listen, brother, I support you on that. If you believe in Khalistan and you want it, peacefully go for it. This guy's a little anti-Khalistan. Every time he talks about them, like, he's basically a great commentator, this guy, but he's a major general in India. So he's a major general. He's obviously on one side, and he basically says, look at it. He just goes too far on Khalistan, I find. All his takes are good. But when it comes to Khalistan, like, look at this one. It says, Jagmeet Singh is typical Khalistani, stabs Justin Trudeau in the back. That's not a typical Khalistani. Okay? It's not a typical thing for them all to stab each other in the back. If anything, they might be living by a warrior code, and they might be righteous. Not all, but some of them might be very righteous. But this guy, this is the one we use today. Not just Khalistanis, Canada or honors war criminals too. This really represents how India feels about Canada right now. And what Canada has done in recent time is so stupid that they went in public and told everyone that, you know, India killed a guy. Why would India, like... And here's the thing. There's two sides of it, though. There's two sides of this. India itself is divided. Half of them are like, we didn't do it, show the proof, or shut up. Today, India is pulling back is telling Canada to take back 41 diplomats from India. So this business is a mess. People in India hate Khalistan. You know, and this guy is a classic example. Biggest losers of India-Canada standoff, Khalistanis. No entry for Canadians in India. Justin Trudeau expels Indian diplomat. India hits back hard. Justin Trudeau shelters Khalistanis. Yeah. You know, I think it's just a little hard. And I think, you know, the one that really shows you how hard he is. Okay, conspiracy against India cannot be tolerated. Canada must be held to account. Okay, stop giving weapons to Ukraine. That one I kind of agree with him on. But this one, he says, Jagmeet Singh is typical Khalistani, stabs Justin Trudeau in the back. That's not typical. And really all his views, other than Khalistan, his views are very tight, very smart. But then with Khalistan, I mean, it's crazy. He just calls them all terrorists. He's like, they're all terrorists. They're all in the drug trade. They all stab each other in the back. Like, what's this Khalistani stab each other in the back stereotype? Never heard of it. It's not a real stereotype. They believe in something. You don't believe in it. So you just are writing them all off as stupid and whatever. Now, at the same time, what is happening between India and Canada? Well, I guess Canada has told them. First, he went out in the parliament and said, India did this thing. Now he's kind of pulling back on it. And India, is pissed. And they're like, listen, you got to show the evidence. And it's sad. And we all, as Canadian citizens, should be telling our government, like, show the evidence, man. Where's the goddamn evidence? And let me just show you a quick thing here. No, not that. Wrong thing. Hold on. Deputy PM is a Nazi, not Bodhidharma. Here's a video on whether or not you should show evidence for this. Here's a nice video. It's National Post, but you know what? It's fair. Why is it opening in the wrong window?
So Canada just joined a rare...
Let's go here, people.
So Canada just joined a rare club of sovereign nations that have publicly accused another sovereign nation of staging an assassination on their soil. Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a Sikh nationalist and, according to India, a wanted terrorist, was shot by two as-yet unknown men in Surrey, and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau now says that the government of India probably did it. Here's how countries normally make such an accusation. They bring evidence. When Turkey first accused Saudi Arabia of assassinating journalist Jamal Khashoggi in Istanbul, they had surveillance video and even audio from the room where it happened. When the UAE accused Israel of sending a hit squad to kill a Hamas commander in a Dubai hotel, they released an annotated surveillance video showing the movements of the assassins. The UK didn't accuse Russia of murdering dissident Alexander Litvinenko until they'd conducted an entire public inquiry. But not Trudeau. The only evidence he's offered publicly is this. Some Canadian security agencies have been pursuing credible allegations of a potential link. That's seriously it.
That's it. That's a good video. And I think too many Canadians, we've been complacent as Canadians for too long, and we need to get rid of this idiot. He's so stupid. He's too stupid. He's obviously not qualified to be are you kidding me? This guy's the Prime Minister? He has the worst resume. He couldn't get a job. If you looked at Trudeau's resume, he couldn't get a corporate job. He's not qualified to just work in a corporation. He's not qualified to work in a board of directors. He's the fucking Prime Minister. He's never finished anything. And look, I've never finished anything either. But I'm not the Prime Minister. He's in the wrong place, man. And now he's stuck. So these kind of political moves that he's doing, I think it's just because his popularity is so low right now. Because the country's a mess. And it is his fault. He emigrated too many people. Just a lot of stuff. I mean, he's just screwed up so much. The Nazi thing, bringing in all these people. I mean, they've destroyed the real estate market. Bringing in all these people. And, I mean, the real estate market was, going to be destroyed anyway. And I got a video on that I wanted to show you guys too. But very low righteousness on Justin Trudeau. He's basically fomenting anger and violence between the Hindu and the Sikh community. And we should all be telling him, this is a low vibration. This is your bullshit politics. Created to divide the people and to make us ignore the fact that you are incompetent, sir. And that's it. Canadians need to basically get rid of him. We need to figure out how to get rid of this idiot. He's too stupid. He's honestly too stupid. And, I can't find the video now, but I saw a video saying that women just overwhelmingly vote for him. It's like, women, why? It's crazy because it's interesting. Because when it comes to, just having sex with a guy, I feel like women have terrible standards. They'll just be the height I get, they have the height standard, but the facial looks, they almost don't care. If the guy's 6'2", 3", and the guy looks like a monster, they'll just be like, oh, he's cute. Look, he's cute. And whereas a good-looking guy, they're kind of not. It's like they trust him as a salesperson, or to work with, or to be friends with, but they don't actually want to bang the guy. Trudeau feels like that, where it's just he looks nice. He's nice and handsome, and he can run the country. Apparently, it's all women voting for him. I don't know what we're going to do, people. That's what I heard. I don't know. Maybe that's not true. Maybe and it's brown people, too. Brown people just vote for him because a lot of brown people, his dad brought us here, so we got to vote for him. You don't have to vote for him. Listen, he needs a lesson. He's basically like a Hunter Biden. His mind is a rotten. From the beginning, he's a spoiled rich kid. Dad gave him everything. I know because I'm halfway there. Listen. I'm halfway there. I've had to take time in my life to be like, oh, you're not functioning good enough. You need to figure some shit out. And you got to go through those phases. He hasn't had to do the phases. Even older uncles I know, they started living off their wives, and then they never had to go through the phase of being alone, having no money, and just kind of trying to figure something out. You know what I mean? So he hasn't, and in a way, the whole country hasn't for a long time, because of because we just have been like Canada. We've been seeing a lot of stuff about how we don't create anything anymore. We're just kind of buying and selling real estate to each other and calling each other millionaires. This is an issue, people. It's a big problem in the country. So this is another thing I want to talk to you guys about. And then I'm going to go after this. But this is very important for all Canadians. All Canadians and, listen, quite frankly, Americans. This is important for all of us, okay? Our deputy prime minister, second in charge, sits beside the prime minister every day. It's not like in America where it's a vice president, they don't do anything, but then occasionally when they do stuff, like, here's the thing with America, right? The vice president is usually like a meaningless job, except for Dick Cheney, where he just took over the whole government. That's your two options over there. Here, I think it's the same thing. This is our deputy prime minister. Sorry. This is our deputy prime minister. Oh, Applejack, $2. Bob Singh will save us. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you. I start loads and finish little. I think it's ADHD. Okay. Yeah. I start loads and finish little. I think it's ADHD. Chipco, thanks for the comment. Appreciate you, baby. Appreciate you, baby. Let's go to... No. Oh, here we go. This is weird, man. It's weird that we're letting this happen in our great, beautiful country of Canada. It has been taken by Nazis. And we can do nothing about it. No, but as Canadians, we should all know, at least know about this. And look, this is an article from the Ottawa Citizen. Very important article for all of us to read. Every Canadian needs to read this. Yes. And maybe just take this time code and send it to people and say, you're a Canadian, you have to watch it. It is your karmas. You should know who's in charge of your government. We've been apathetic too long, people. And now the Nazis have taken over our goddamn government. It's not a Nazi. We'll decide together whether she's a Nazi or not. Let's decide together. Chrystia Freeland's grant, I'll tell you what I think. And I'll tell you how it relates to the poem that we read earlier, or the story from Trunksa. Chrystia Freeland's granddad was indeed a Nazi collaborator. So much for Russian disinformation. See, that's another, like, evil thing that these people do, is that every time they're in trouble for something, they go, well, Russian disinformation. Must be the Russian disinformation. This is the Ottawa Citizen, by the way. These guys swing back and forth between very liberal and they've only occasionally supported a right-wing person. So they're actually a very liberal newspaper. Just so you know, it's not the National Post, which apparently is conservative. It's not the Sun. This is pretty liberal. Chrystia Freeland's, and this is our Deputy Prime Minister in Canada. Get the latest from Foreign Affairs Minister Chrystia Freeland responds to a question during question period in the House of Commons Thursday, February 27, 2017 in Ottawa, the Canadian... Okay. The news conference on Monday by Foreign Affairs Minister Chrystia Freeland was interested in not for the announcement that Canada was extending its training mission to Ukraine, but for the questions and answers about the minister's grandfather. There have been a number of articles circulating about Freeland's Ukrainian grandfather Michael Chomyak and his ties to the Nazis. It's okay for a grandfather to be a Nazi. By the way, don't think that that's what this is. Just keep going on this. Some of those articles have appeared on pro-Russian websites. Freeland, who strongly supports Ukraine and is a major critic of Russia's seizure of the Crimea, suggested to journalists that the articles about her grandfather were part of a Russian disinformation campaign. It's not, listen, I'm not saying that my family's racist too, okay? You know how many times I've been at like a Patel convention and some old man is like, Amish, too many Muslim. What are you going to do? Too much Muslim. Musalman coming. That's what they were called, Musalman. They were like, Musalman coming. I'm 8. And this is when I'm 8 years old. So I could feel that radicalization coming in. You can feel it. People are telling you, and you're like, okay, well, maybe I should. And a lot of my friends, born and raised in Canada, are also like, Muslims, yeah, they overpopulate. Dude, I know a guy, like a educated guy from Canada, and he's like, yeah, Muslims. I was telling him this. I was like, dude, I have this cousin from India. He goes, Amish bhai, these Musalman chene, they are trying to overpopulate us. They are overpopulating us. So we have to kill them, Amish Bhai. He calls me Brother Amish. He's like, Brother Amish? There's too many Muslims. And they're purposely overpopulating us. They're overpopulating us. So we have to kill them. Okay, Amish Bhai? You have to help separate it. They don't, nobody's actually saying to do anything. It's just emotional support. Nobody's sending money. We're Patels. Too cheap. And we're not getting involved in politics, I'll tell you that. You know, we are the kind of community that if you say you're going to a Black Lives Matter parade, a march, they'll be like, but what profit? No money. In a protest is a no profit, no money. Amish Bhai, don't do it. This is wasting time. Swear to God. That's how they feel. So they're not actually going to do anything. I don't see them doing anything about Muslims, but they do have this attitude. Anyway, the point is that her grandfather, I don't believe in that. You know what I'm saying? So I can forgive her for her grandfather being a Nazi, but for her to turn around and say, oh, it's just Russian disinformation, unacceptable. American officials have publicly said, and even Angela Merkel has publicly said, that there were efforts on the Russian side to destabilize Western democracies. And I think it shouldn't come as a surprise if these same efforts were used against Canada, Freeland told reporters after they raised questions about the article about her grandfather. The Globe and Mail also reported that an official in Freeland's office denied the minister's grandfather was a Nazi collaborator. It's okay. Not just, like I said, my family, they're talking shit about Muslims. This is not talking shit. He's a collaborator. Well, let's continue. In addition, the claims were dismissed outright by those in the Canadian-Ukrainian community. It is the continued Russian modus operandi that they have. Paul Grod, president of the Canadian-Ukrainian Congress, told the Globe and Mail, fake news, disinformation, and targeting different individuals. Bullshit. It is just so outlandish when you hear some of these allegations, whether they are directed at Minister Freeland or others. Well, it actually isn't so outlandish. Michael Chomiak was a Nazi collaborator. What are the sources for the information that Freeland's grandfather worked for the Nazis? For starters, the Ukraine archival records held by the province of Alberta, it has a whole file on Chomiak, including his own details about his days editing the newspaper Kravitsky Visti. Chomiak noted he edited the paper first in Krakow, Poland, and then Vienna. The reason he edited the paper in Vienna was because he had to flee with his Nazi colleagues as the Russians advanced into Poland. The Russians tended to execute collaborators well as SS members. See archive story below. Okay. Should we read this? Let's put on some music and read it. It's very important. We have to get into this. This is very important. Because we have to read it with forgiveness. We forgive her. Your grandfather's a Nazi? That's fine. It's a tough time. It's okay. But this whole it's Russian disinformation. Just admit it. But it goes further than that. Let's keep going. Chomiak Michael Fons, date range 1919-1983, scope and content. Honestly, if someone in my family was a fucking... If he openly said, if he actually openly worked on killing Muslims, I would be like, yeah, that guy fucking killed... so no, fuck her. I mean, your grandfather's a Nazi. Just say it. What is this lie? That no, the Russians are creating disinformation. These people have an ideology. She believes in this. But anyway, let's continue. Scope and content. This Fons contains personal papers of Michael Chomiak, 1905-1984, a prominent figure in the Ukrainian-Canadian community in Alberta. He grew up in Western Ukraine, annexed by interwar Poland. Michael Chomiak graduated from Lviv University with a master's degree in law and politics and science. In 1928, as a journalist, he started work in the Ukrainian daily Dilo, and from 1934 to 1939, he served on the editorial staff. During the Nazi occupation, he was the editor of Kravitsky Visti, published first in Krakow and then in Vienna. Chomiak's family emigrated to Canada in 1984. After a brief period of manual labor, Michael Chomiak found employment in Sherritt Gordon Mines Limited for Saskatchewan. Okay, well, that was a waste. I didn't need to read that. So what was the Kravitsky Visti? It, like a number of publications, had been seized by the Nazis from their Jewish owners and then operated as propaganda outlets. Here's what the Los Angeles Holocaust Museum has said about the Kravitsky Visti and a similar newspaper, Levitsky Visti. Oh, so there's Kravitsky Visti and Levitsky Visti, both publications associated with the Nazi regime. The editorial boards carried out a policy of soliciting Ukrainian support for the German cause. The Holocaust Museum noted, it was typical within these publications to not to give any accounts of German genocidal policy, and largely, so basically ignoring any genocides that the Nazis were doing. So these guys are saying, hey, we're the daily paper, we're the public record, whatever, but they're not mentioning that there's a fucking atrocity going on down the street that the Germans are doing. So that's one thing. That's one whitewashing that he was in charge of. Ukrainian newspapers, and largely the editions resorted to silencing the mass killing of Jews in Galicia. So they silenced the mass killing of Jews. Ukrainian newspapers presented the Jewish question in light of the official Nazi propaganda corollary to the Jewish world conspiracy. In 1943 and 1944, both Levitsky Visti and Kravitsky Visti hailed the German-approved formation of the 14th Waffen-SS Division, Hail China, composed of Ukrainian volunteers, the museum pointed out. So much for Russian disinformation. On Wednesday, the Globe and Mail reported that Foreign Affairs Minister Chrystia Freeland knew for more than 2 decades that her maternal Ukrainian grandfather was the chief editor of a Nazi newspaper. Photo below shows Chanakya at a party. He is to the right of the man smoking on the far right hand lower corner of the photo. In uniform is Emil Gassner, the Nazi administrator in charge of the press for the region, including Krakow. Oh, that's it. Okay, so you know what we got to do now? There's actually another thing I want to show you guys about this. But do you see what happens? Like, when you're in a low vibration like this, like a Nazi Holocaust takeover, and this is the thing we got to worry about with the Eastern Euros. Love ya, but you're traumatized. And when you're traumatized, you start acting like this. How could it be possible that this Deputy Prime Minister, because a week ago, see in Canadian Parliament, let's see this. So this is interesting today because of this, obviously.
Here in the chamber today, Ukrainian Canadian world veteran from the Second World War who fought the Ukrainian independence against the Russians and continues to support the troops today, even at his age of 98.
Like, you're telling me she doesn't know? What I think, this is why I think this is important for all Canadians to know about this. What I think, and if you look at more into her history, because she's there clapping. She's like the most excited of everyone. So there's no way that she doesn't know. Like, in her mind, she's like, grandfather, I finally honored you. Grandfather, my work is done and I have honored you, grandfather. That's what she's doing. You can probably see her in here. Wow, he's so close to this. He just... You know what? It's probably the old age. Like, he probably... Like, this is maybe too hard now. So he's just doing the... No, I'll do this. He's like... It's basically like when you zig hail, I think you got to go up, pop, and you pop it. So he's probably can't get the pop in. That's what's going on here. Tell me what you guys think. But I think he can't because when you zig hail, it's a pop. So you probably punch up because you don't want to be like doing this. You know, your fingers will get crushed if someone's in front of you. So you come in with the fist, pop, just like that. Just like that. He's 98. He can't get the pop out. You know what's actually so tragic about this too is that all of the other, like the Jewish people who went into Nazi concentration camps. I was listening to another podcast about this, and the Jews who went to concentration camps because her grandfather basically wrote the newspaper that, you know, I saw things saying that he actually, like, part of the newspaper's job was to tell people to go get them. It wasn't in that article that we just read, but I have heard that too, that he also, but regardless, he's whitewashing it. He's basically saying, like, no, it's not happening. He's pretending it's not happening, her grandfather. Nazi collaborator, hanging out with them, partying with them. But, like, oh, what was I going to say? I was going to say something. So smart. It was so smart. It was so smart. It was so smart. It was so smart. She's the grandfather, grandpops. Oh, yeah. No, this is very sad. These guys on a podcast, they were saying that the people who went through concentration camps, they all died very, like, 70, 75. Because even though they survived, the trauma was too much on them. And these piece of shit Nazi fucks, they all live to 100. The good die young. Isn't that just the saddest thing you ever heard? I'm sorry. But this is the nature of Kali Yuga, people. This is the nature of the ego. We're built for, like, we came to suffer. That's what this life is actually about. According to the Buddhists, according to Hindus, we came to suffer. There's no justice. You know, you think God would give that last bit of justice. And you think all the people coming out of the Nazi concentration camp, the Jews, I always thought they were all a bunch of Viktor Frankls. Because you guys ever hear of Viktor Frankl's book? He's a survivor of a concentration camp. His book on it, he basically says, like, I survived there because I became joyful. I said, this is the moment, and I will love this moment. It's a great book. It's like one of the most inspirational books. He basically said, like, I had to have a bright future that I had to think about every day, and he had ways of surviving. So in my mind, I thought this guy represents the Jewish people, and I thought they all kind of came out like that. But this guy was saying, and his parents no, they didn't go through the Holocaust, but they went through, like, similar stuff. They had to run away, I think he said, to Russia. But this guy was saying on a podcast that, like, yeah, the people, the survivors of the Nazi concentration camp, they lived 75 years. And then this fucking Nazi fucks are getting applauded at 98.
My name is Yaroslav Hunka. And I was going to say he's in the gallery, but I think you beat me to that. But I'm very proud to say that he is from North.
He's in the gallery. We took in a bunch of Nazis. He's a funny guy.
Bay, and from my riding of Nipissing Temiskaming.
So you don't fucking know this guy? No, they eat dinner together. Oh my God, this is a bigger issue, people. The Liberals did a good job of covering it up. They were just like, well, he made a mistake, so he's going to step down. Nothing else. And he's not even out of the fucking parliament. He's still a Liberal caucus member. He's just no longer Speaker of the House. I'm telling you, man, look it up. This guy, they didn't even fucking fire him. They basically said it wasn't us, it was him. And then they were like, okay, step down as a speaker. Now they got a black speaker, of course. Who's gonna, oh yeah, of course you gotta get a black guy now, you idiots. Let's get a video of that.
He's a Ukrainian hero, a Canadian hero, and we thank him for all his service. Thank you.
Look at this. And they carry him in.
Colleagues, before we begin, my first question period, please treat me like that new car and don't give it a dent on the first day. Questions orales de chef, l'honorable chef de l'opposition.
Keep the car on the right side of the road, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And before I begin...
On the right side of the road, because that's the right-wing guy. This motherfucker, he's quick with it. He's quick. Was that even a joke? Was he even meaning it to be a joke? Or was that a, keep it on the right side? He should have said, keep it on the right side of the road. Conservative, right-wing.
Again, I'd like to really take the opportunity as a member of the Black Canadian community to really congratulate you for making history as Canada's first Black Canadian speaker.
Look at that. Look at all the headlines. Because now if you type in Canadian Parliament, it's like first black, first black, first black, first black. No more Nazi. No more Nazi. We're whitewashing people. We're using black people to whitewash. This is like the most low vibration shit. This is what, you know what's really sad about like liberals today is that they just, the woke shit, they just use it for political gain. They don't care. They're full of shit, and they're like, I gotta put a black guy in. If you question it, what, you're questioning him? Oh, you're questioning a black man. You're not happy that a black man is a Speaker of the House now. That's it. Well, but there's a Nazi. You can celebrate one day that a black man has become a Speaker of the House. Yeah, but the Nazi. A black man has become Speaker of the House. Can we celebrate one day, please? That's basically what this is. It's a sham, people. It's a sham. Yesterday, clapping like dolphins, seals for a Nazi. And today they put this guy and they're like, yes, yes, we love him. Fake.
And that brings to a close oral questions today.
No. What we got to watch, actually, what's so interesting is like Nazi Parliament debate? No, don't question that. Canadian Parliament apologizes. No. Canada blunders. Parliament cheers Nazis. Al Jazeera. The moment Canada's Parliament gave standing ovation to a man. Okay. Tense moment as Rhoda apologized for inviting.
I want to make it clear that it was my decision, and my decision alone. This was a constituent who wanted to see what it wanted to be.
That's a fall guy. The Liberals are so full of shit. She's like, okay, if nobody else knows that this guy's a Nazi, fine, nobody else knows. Chrystia Freeland knows. And she's like this clapping. Let's see her dumbass clapping.
Here, and I recognized him. It was my decision, and I apologize profusely. I cannot tell you how regretful it is. And it may not be good enough for some of you, and for that I apologize. And
pussy, fall guy. This is politics though, man. And this is what even the early poem that we read, not the poem, the story, whatever, where the guy says, you're chewing on a decayed rat. Chuang Tzu tells the politician, you're chewing on this decayed rat, and you think I'm trying to come after you? This is what he's taught. We're watching the chewing of a dead rat here. This is the life of a politician. Fake. And just so repressed from what they genuinely think and feel. And you'll see it more with the politicians. Let's keep talking.
I'll let the Honourable...
But he's being just a good fall guy here for the Liberals. And from what I can tell, he's not even out of the Speaker. Like, he's just out as the Speaker. He's still in the Liberal caucus. He still goes in, he still like can go sit with them.
Opposition House.
He's not going to be behind them, obviously. They're probably going to get 4 more guys with turbans and 5 more women with hijabs to, make that look good. Motherfuckers.
Take it from here.
You pieces of shit.
Government House Leader.
Oh, just put you got an honor Nazi. Just put another guy with a turban in the back. That's what they think in Canada. They think like, oh, just put a guy with a turban in the back, and we're not racist. Look, there's a guy with a turban. Oh, black guy speaker. Guy with a turban. Hijab. We're not racist. Fuck off.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I just want to underscore the point that my colleague just raised. This is a question about, is it the government's position that when we have a foreign head of state, that the government does zero security vetting for who will be in the same room as that head of state? Is that the message that we're sending to our allies, that when they come here, you don't know who's going to be in the gallery? I mean, what?
That's a good point. I mean, it is pretty dumb. Like, as much as there's this thing of like, you made Zelensky salute a Nazi. It's like, dude, they know their history. If nobody else knows, they know that when the Russians fighting Germans, Ukrainians fighting Russians in World War II, that's a Nazi. They know. They just got caught on this one. And my honest belief about Chrystia Freeland is that I think what she's trying to do, Like, she's an ideologically driven person. Unlike me, who when I was growing up and people were like, oh, too many Muslim. Unlike me, I think she buys it and she's working behind the scenes, not for Canadians, but for, like, right-wing Ukrainian nationalists. Maybe she doesn't want them to be full Nazis. Like, maybe she looks at her grandfather like, Grandpops, you went a little far on the Nazi stuff. You went a little bit far on the Nazi stuff, Grandpops. But, like, other than that, I think she's ideologically driven. And all Canadians, instead of being like, this is too much that we're doing this now as Canadians, we are fucking pussies, man. We just all have this attitude like, well, the government knows best. Well, if the government did it, then they know. I'm sure she's not a Nazi. People just say dumb shit. Like, what are you basing that on? Well, I'm sure she's not a Nazi. It's the government. You're a fucking sheep, man. You're gonna lose it. You're gonna lose your country to these fucking psychos. No, we gotta get rid of these people now.
Kind of message does that send to Canada's partners and allies around the world? And that's the point that we're raising, Mr. Speaker. It's all well and good for you to come in and accept your share of the responsibility. But there's only one entity in this chamber that has the resources and the mandate to keep people safe. As my colleague just pointed out, when President Zelensky comes here on the invitation of the Prime Minister, when the entire itinerary is planned by the PMO, the government of Canada has an obligation,
Prime Minister's office,
to him personally to secure his safety, has a responsibility to the people of Ukraine to ensure the safety of their president. And he has a responsibility to all Canadians to uphold the dignity of Canada as a country, as a trusted partner and ally. And in all three of those...
Is he trying to cry? I think he's trying to cry. See, but again, the politician, metaphorically, their life is chewing on a dead rat. Even him trying to bust out a tear on this, he's doing the right thing, though. You have to do this. You have to. Like, I mean, this is... It just... like, what these guys do, these conservatives, they just fight over every stupid thing. They just happen to have good things to fight about in the last, like, 5 years. They do. They actually do. But that's not of their making. They're also not righteous. They're assholes, too. They're politicians, same thing. But the liberals are so bad that they're coming out righteous, basically.
Those areas, Mr. Speaker,
We're gonna get
the Prime Minister failed to do that basic level of responsibility. That's the point that we're underscoring, Mr. Speaker. There was a Nazi in the chamber. There's only one entity, one group that could have done anything about it, that could have flagged that. And as I mentioned, the director of the Parliamentary Protective Service reports up to the Government of Canada for operational matters. That is in the mandate of the Protective Services.
Again, politics, it's like, you know, this is why Poilievre is the leader of the party. I feel like Poilievre comes in with a fucking bop, bop, bop. Are you going to do it? Go. This guy's, it's not good. Scheer, tighten it up. Tighten it up, buddy. You know, it's too long. Just say, they fucking called the Nazi. Just come on, get to it.
The Parliamentary Protective Service must be a member of the RCMP. That's in the enabling legislation. That was all done for a reason, Mr. Speaker. Yes. I was in the chair when that legislation was passed, and it was precisely because the House of Commons itself did not have the capability to do full security vettings and background checks on individuals. That was the reason why we did that.
Yes. He's making a good point. That is a good point. Yeah. He is making a good point. Okay, yep, fine.
To make available to the House of Commons the resources of federal institutions like the RCMP and like CSIS.
He's got to get a guy with a turban in the background. You know what I mean? This is where the Conservatives have not planned this. You have this guy coming in with the first thing. You need a turban, you need a hijab in the background. This is a big mistake because they're usually on top of that. I don't know what the fuck this shot is.
That is why we do not accept
Idiots.
The attempt to collectivize blame for this. Opposition parties do not have access to CSIS reports. We do not have access to the RCMP's vast capabilities to do background checks and vetting. And in this case, it would have taken a simple Google search to to find a blog post written by that individual saying that he served in an SS division, in a Nazi division during World War II. And again, all those resources are available to the government. The mandate, the responsibility lies with the government, and the entire reporting structure of the parliamentary precinct services here flows up to the government. That's why we still have many, many questions, and this issue does not end with your statement or your apology.
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Look, I have immense respect for my colleague opposite. In fact, he was the Speaker. He occupied that chair. And so he would know that as the Speaker, you do have prerogative to invite guests into the chamber. I will reiterate, neither the government nor the Ukrainian delegation had any prior knowledge. In fact, if colleagues will recall when
this woman, this is an archetype that we should all watch out for. You should be watching out for. This is a nanny state. This is like a nanny. When they say nanny state, they're literally talking about people like this. When someone whispers and they're still lying, that's pure evil. Like this woman, honestly, like this is... I'm not saying she's Chrystia Freeland, because Chrystia Freeland's like this too. She's a fucking Nazi, or whatever her grandfather was, and she's trying to cover it up. But not even trying to cover it up, trying to justify it and say it's okay, and working with all these like Ukrainian Canadian groups to normalize it and be like, hey, let's not, whatever. She does it. I've been to her events too, the Chrystia Freeland. I remember I went to one of her events, and it was basically like that. They were trying to, they basically had all these speakers come up and talk about how evil Russia is. This is like 10 years ago. Just talking about how evil Russia is and how great this Ukrainian divisions and, we stood back and we fought back, whatever. But yeah, they're Nazis. So she is actively trying to whitewash Nazis. But when you talk to her, she talks to you like you're in kindergarten and she's a teacher and said, I respect my calling. And there's nothing we could have done. Lie.
Recognition was done. It was done by the Speaker, and we did it on the good offices of the
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Ask the honourable member to respect. This is a very difficult time for everyone in this chamber. And I understand that emotions are running loud and running high, but I'm going to ask everyone to listen to each other. I don't think I've ever been through a tougher time in this chamber or in this house since I got here in 2004. So I would ask some respect for both sides.
What a fucking fall guy, dude. This is some Japanese shit where like your boss does something and you're like, it was me, and then you commit suicide. It's like, dude, what the fuck is this idiot doing? This guy, why is he taking all the blame? Because he's a liberal. He's in the Liberal Party, so he has to. He has to, or all his friends and colleagues are going to be like, you're out of our club. But what he should be doing if he had a fucking pair of balls is say, hey man, you guys should have fucking done your shit too. I sent them the paperwork on Thursday, so they knew about it 3 days in advance. They should have looked into it. What is he doing?
If someone is speaking, please, show some respect.
Show some respect. When she's fucking lying? Oh,
please continue.
Wow.
You know what? It's not even worth responding to. Please continue.
Mr. Speaker, I would just reiterate for colleagues that if they recall when this
it's not even worth responding to. You brought in the Nazi, you piece of shit. And these guys are getting mad at you for doing it. And then he goes, can we have respect for the court? What the fucking politics? This is the dead rat that Chuang Tzu's talking about. This is it, man. This is garbage. What fake nonsense. She's bullshitting. Those guys are getting mad that she's bullshitting. And the Speaker of the House goes, hey, can we have a little respect here? How about a little decorum? Please let her finish. Fucking bullshit.
It happened during the Speaker's remarks. We were all caught off guard by this. I'm not trying to collectivize responsibility. I'm trying to lay the facts on the table, which my Conservative colleagues are choosing to ignore.
Let's go to the Politico, because we got CB Applejack left us a great comment saying, okay, let's do the Politico Nazi. This is a good one.
Another major mainstream outlet has been accused of defending Nazism. Critics online have unleashed on Politico Europe over a new opinion piece urging a both sides approach to the recent Nazism scandal facing Canada's parliament. The op-ed, titled "Fighting Against the USSR Didn't Necessarily Make You a Nazi," maintains that appointments to the Waffen
Yes, it did.
SS were, quote, administrative and not ideological, and that narratives like everyone in the SS was guilty of war crimes are overly simplistic.
Independent commentator Mark Ames wrote of the piece, quote, "Politico now running straight up Holocaust revisionism and Waffen-SS whitewashing, even slandering Simon Wiesenthal because Canada's shame urgently needs PR hitmen to run cover and deflect. You'll expect to see this in Willis Carto's journal, but damn." Journalist Ben Norton chimed in, adding, "Western corporate media outlets are now publishing propaganda defending literal Nazis because they fought against the Soviet Union. This insane article from Politico Europe complains that people were, quote, conditioned to believe the SS primary task was genocide." So this comes at a time when the New York Times is warning us about Russian conspiracy theories, but we have mainstream media outlets saying that the SS was not necessarily a Nazi group, and not everyone who fought with them are responsible for war crimes. I don't think the House of Parliament, or the Speaker rather, in Canada needs this kind of defense from Politico. I don't think it's justified. I don't think it's necessary. What is their agenda with trying to reframe SS as not a Nazi regime, but simply an anti-Soviet Union paramilitary group?
I've said this of folks like, Tim Pool, who have supporters of theirs go off and do horrible things, and I'll say this, this Canada debacle, the easiest thing in the world is just to be like, ooh, I don't like that, I'm not a part of that, that was a mistake, I don't support. This kind of defense, I mean, with friends like these, who needs enemies? I mean, there's many layers to how disturbing it is. One, the undercounting of the sacrifices made by the Soviet Union in defeating Nazism, with approximately 27 million people dying in that effort to defeat real fascism. That word is thrown around a lot, but one of the all-time worst genocides in the history of this planet is, I don't know, it's beyond offensive.
100%, man. This is the Western-centric view, really, that the Russians are all animals and pigs and beasts and we all have to fight them. And Canadians, I know so many Canadians who believe this. And the reason we believe it is because for 50 years, Chrystia Freeland, our Deputy Prime Minister, she worked in journalism before. She's been on a mission to whitewash and to basically rewrite history like this. So this is, it's a very low vibration. You got to fight it. It's a very low, it's not righteous, people, to lie like this and to make it up and pretend that to be defended by the Russians and then turn around and say, okay, we're in a Cold War against you. We hate you forever. We're going to just keep making up excuses to go to war with you. We're going to surround you with military bases. We're going to... Like, what is NATO if not just a big... You know what I mean? And this brainwash, that people are starting to really believe this. They're like, oh, well, if anything to defeat the Russians. No, the Nazis are the bad guys. The Russians didn't fucking do anything to us. Eastern Europe...
When you get into the text of the actual article, it's honestly... It's difficult. It's difficult to really understand how this got through the editorial process. I do want to read just a little bit of it if I can. Okay, the article goes, this history is complicated because fighting against the USSR at the time didn't necessarily make you a Nazi, just someone who had an excruciating choice over which of these two terror regimes to resist. One of those regimes, to be clear, are Nazis. However, the idea that foreign volunteers and conscripts were being allocated to the Waffen-SS rather than to the Wehrmacht or administrative rather than ideological grounds is a hard sell for audiences conditioned to believe the SS's primary task was genocide. Well, why would one be conditioned to believe that the primary task of the SS was in fact genocide and Nazism? In simple narratives, the article goes on, like everyone in the SS was guilty of war crimes are more pervasive because they're much simpler to grasp. Now, the Twitter notes function, which I gotta say is one of the best innovations that have come out of Elon Musk's leadership here, corrected the article saying that you had to take a loyalty oath to Hitler in order to join the Waffen-SS, which pretty much obliterates this argument that somehow these were kind of unknowing participants in the horrors of Nazism.
Yeah, I think to reframe the entirety of World War II, that some fighters were just participating and fighting with the SS paramilitary group because administratively they were allocated to that group, and they really, in their heart of hearts, just wanted to fight Russian imperialism. That's what this is all about. It absolutely makes no sense. It is revisionist history. I would expect better from Politico, to be entirely honest, especially Politico Europe. To rewrite this history is so absolutely absurd. It's a disservice to every single Jewish person that has lived living in Ukraine that's resisting the Russian invasion right now, and every single Jewish person living in Canada, to question whether or not a Nazi paramilitary group was complicit with genocide, or if genocide was their purpose, is an insane thing to do.
But yeah, basically, like, this is where we're going back to Chrystia Freeland. Whoever wrote this Politico article is doing the same work that Chrystia Freeland has been doing for, like, basically her whole career, which is whitewash the Nazi collaboration and make Russia so evil that the whole world has to go and attack Russia. This is, and look, let's just get into real quick, you know, the vibrational numbers here. Eastern Europe, traumatized by war, is, you know, like, they're very traumatized, okay? And traumatized basically presents as, like, evil, man. I mean, this is the system here. These are the numbers, okay, speaking here. Like, all the evil people in the world, all the people that want to start a fight with someone, that want whatever. I remember this woman was saying this to me too. She said, all problems in the world are caused by men who weren't loved by their mothers. That's what this Jewish woman told me. And, okay, I don't think it's men who weren't loved by their mothers, but it's just people who from a young age were traumatized by something, and now that trauma is so deep-seated in them that they feel it's justified to do anything, to make up any story, to be like, to get their justice. So these guys, while we're all just living life being normal Canadians, they're in the background rewriting the history, bringing in these people. So I actually think Chrystia Freeland probably brought the guy in on purpose to be like, see, her and Zelensky probably talked to each other and probably said, like, yeah, he's a Nazi, but, like, hopefully they'll get more used to it, because we got to still keep sending money to them. You know what I mean? Like they'll get used to the idea of, like, anyone from Ukraine is okay. Just give anyone from Ukraine anything and that's okay. That's what I think. That's my theory, is that she's not really working for Canada. She's so traumatized by war. Her family has been for generations, so traumatized by war that she's on a mission to get Canada kind of just working for Ukraine. I don't think she cares about this country at all. I think she just believes in Nazis. I mean, I don't know what else to show you guys. But tell me what you think. Let me read some comments. There's so much news. There's honestly too much news. I don't know what to talk about. I mean, I know what to talk about. I just don't know how to talk about it all. You know, there's just so much stuff. No. Huh? There we go. There we go. Alessandro, what's up, baby? How you doing? I'm glad you were streaming, dude. Alessandro's my personal trainer, and I was like, dude, I was like so tired when I went to the gym today. We did legs too. We did legs, baby, legs. And I was there, and I'm like, man, I need a personal trainer to, like, make me do my work. And he's like, what do you mean? You'll do your podcast. I was gonna actually reschedule today. Honestly, I just didn't feel like it. And he's like, no, you have to do it. It must be done. And look at that, we made $6, and we raised the vibration, and we talked about a great Taoist story, one of my favorite Taoist stories. And I'm gonna by Chuang Tzu, and we got to do more stuff by Chuang Tzu. He is incredible. The insights that you're gonna get from that man, absolutely incredible. Too much news and disinformation. It's true. Zelensky didn't even know he sent a guy with the swastika tattoos to the U.S. to receive an award from Jon Stewart at Disney. Yeah, I think, honestly, dude, I think what's happening with these guys, Applejack, if we can talk for a second, is I think, again, let's go back to the righteousness scale. People are so traumatized that they think anything is justified for their cause. They think, like, well, if we got to whitewash Nazis, that's it. Dude, they took cluster bombs. These Ukrainians took cluster bombs, and when the internet, like, these cluster bombs are like a human rights violation. They should not be used by anyone. And when they told the Ukrainians, like, or the Americans, like, why are you sending them cluster bombs? They said, it's okay. We're only going to use it in Ukrainian territory. Are you fucking crazy? That's even worse. These cluster bombs, you can't use them. They'll destroy it. They're like a human rights violation. They've been deemed by so many experts to be just inhumane and destroys a country, whatever. And the Ukrainians said, no, it's okay. We won't launch them in Russia. We'll launch them inside of Ukraine. And they are. They're ruining their own country. They're ruining it. And this, again, is the traumatization of war. How it traumatizes people. And that's why, going back to our first story, let's read the first poem again, because it's so smart for describing these politicians and why they do this sort of thing. Let's read it. What a incredible... Huitsu was prime minister of Liang. He had what he believed to be inside information, that Chuangzi coveted his post and was plotting to supplant him. When Chuangzi came to visit Liang, the prime minister sent out police to arrest him. But although they searched for him 3 days and 3 nights, they could not find him. Meanwhile, Chuangzi presented himself to Huitsu of his own accord and said, "Have you heard about the bird that lives in the south, the phoenix that never grows old? This undying phoenix rises out of the South Sea and flies to the seas of the north, never alighting except on certain sacred trees. He will touch no food, but the most exquisite rare fruit, and he drinks only from the clearest springs." That phoenix is Chuangzi. Once an owl, the politician... See, the owl is a good representation of the politician because owls are assholes and they are just like a predatory, kind of a negative animal. It's cool that they can turn their head around, and they can't even sleep at night, just like a politician. Can't sleep at night. They're just so, this guy's coming after me, this guy's coming after me. Oh, this guy's coming after me, we've got to send these police in advance. Once an owl chewing an already half-decayed dead rat saw the phoenix fly over. Looking up, he screeched with alarm and clutched the dead rat to himself in fear and dismay. And this is the political mind. Competing, fighting all the time, projecting problems into the world that don't exist. This is the low vibration of it all. These are the people who go into politics. They're traumatized. And that's why I meet good people who are like, well, Amish, what, nobody can go into politics? What if I want to make a difference? Okay, get in there. It's going to be you against this kind of a psychopath, Chrystia Freeland, who her whole life is, how am I going to honor my grandpappy? And how am I going to get that Nazi into parliament? That's been her fucking life. How am I going to whitewash this whole thing? How am I going to make everyone love Ukrainians? How am I going to pretend that, when we did Nazi stuff, it wasn't bad? This is her whole life. And you're going to go into politics? You think you can fight with this person? She's a psycho. And what Chuangzi is saying is very smart and wise too. It's like, you want to go in because there's a trauma inside of you. You feel like you're not good enough in some way, so you got to get into this kind of stuff. Chasing after money, chasing after power. But what he's saying is so much better. He says, look, I'm the phoenix, flying, eating the best food. Basically, he's like, dude, I'm a poet. I write cool shit. People want to bang him probably all over China. Why would I join your political shit? Why would I want to get involved in your politics? And that's why the final line, he says, Prime Minister, why are you so frantic, clinging to your ministry and screeching at me in dismay? Why are you frantic? Foolish. Let's talk about this, the podcast censorship. This really pissed me off, and this is important for our whole community. God damn it. I said, God damn it, it's important for the whole goddamn community.
Languages. Now listen,
All right, Sagar, what are you looking at?
Well, in our AMA questions for this week, one of our viewers asked from Canada, can we bring more attention to the country? I explained that to the extent that we cover it, it's when it intersects with our politics or to a broader theme that we care a lot about. In this particular case, it's because Canada has long been a leader in North America for piloting censorship programs, eager to abuse their lack of First Amendment protections to stomp on Western traditions of free speech, free expression with Orwellian government control. The latest example is one that was flagged by friend Glenn Greenwald, and it bears really investigating. The Canadian Radio, Television and Telecommunications Commission announced a new policy requiring online streaming services to provide the government with information about their activities in Canada. These streaming services include podcasts, which must register with the government to, quote, permit regulatory controls.
Are you crazy? See, this is how the politician thinks. We have to regulate it. It's like, this Chuangzi in the poem, he's just going to visit Liang. He probably has some gigs in Liang. He's going to visit Liang. The politician says, oh, I've heard that he's trying to take my post. Send 3 guards to go get him. Who do you think you are, man? Nobody wants your stupid post.
So, What are these regulatory
But
controls?
this is crazy. It's like you can't even catch the guy. You're gonna do how are you gonna catch podcasting? There's a million of us, you idiots.
What are we talking about here? The current registration requirement is driven by the so-called Online Streaming Act, which passed last year. It will require these newly registered platforms to, quote, need to make support Canadian and Indigenous content. Will include provisions that will require these platforms.
Indigenous content, I support that. But let me read you actually another thing by Chuangsa that I think is very important. Hold on a second. This is another one by Chuangsa. And it's related to the podcasting and including Indigenous stuff. It's related. If a man steps on a stranger's foot in the marketplace, he makes a polite apology and offers an explanation. This place is so crowded. If an elder brother steps on his younger brother's foot, he says, sorry, and that is that. If a parent treads on his child's foot, nothing is said at all. This is the most important part. The greatest politeness is free from all formality. Perfect conduct is free from concern. Perfect wisdom is unplanned. Perfect love is without demonstrations. Perfect sincerity offers no guarantee. Wow. So, why do I say that? Why do I mention that there? It's because for these idiots to say, you have to include Indigenous, it's like, listen, man, I can only do that when it's genuine. Now, this has served as a great reminder, and now I'm thinking I should do more Indigenous topics. I think it's important as Canadians to talk about what's happening with Indigenous people. But for you to force it on me, it's fake, and you're full of shit now. This is
to, quote, create a broadcasting system that is reflective of Canadian society and, quote, strengthen...
Because then I'm not doing it from my heart. Then I'm like, okay, we have this and this and this story, and then, okay, got to talk about Indigenous. So, okay, just, get that story. What if it doesn't even make them look good? What if it's a story of them, is something bad about them? I gotta do an Indigenous story. So stupid. Why would you enforce dumb shit like this? Encourage it, put up a sign, be like, or teach more people about it, raise awareness about it yourself, pay them money to make content, get that content out there. But you're gonna force every podcast. Just like I'm doing a podcast about fucking Indian politics, and you're gonna force me to talk about Indigenous. What the fuck are you thinking, man? Who are you going to pay to do this? It's so stupid.
Indigenous broadcasts and supports the vitality of Indigenous languages. So basically, legislation and compliance is required under the law that will then direct racial and cultural quotas to those who wish to broadcast in Canada, giving the government broad authority over who you can hire, what you can broadcast, and even include...
This is so stupid. And this is really the evil of liberals, man. This is so liberal. They're so fucked right now, and this is what the meditation people say about even like political parties. This is the last point that I'll make today. But basically, what they say is that no political party has righteousness once it's won. Basically, what they teach is that every rebel will become a tyrant. Every revolutionary will become a tyrant if they win. They're only righteous as long as they're losing. It's just like the conservatives in Canada. They're pieces of shit. They're scumbags, man. They're all pieces of shit. But because the liberals are in power and so shitty, the conservatives are all fucking righteous. Because they want to do stupid shit like, oh, let's force everyone to talk about Indigenous issues. Are you stupid? Who's going to check? Who is going to check? Just give Indigenous people money to talk about themselves. That's fair. I think that's okay. You're going to force everyone. You're going to set a quota. Oh, you didn't do Indigenous topic today? You're fucking nuts. And you know what's going to happen is, a bunch of conservatives are going to be like, here's what the Indigenous did today. Like, they're just going to put it as a quota. They're going to do some negative story about Indigenous people and be like, look what they did today. Okay, get the quota? Okay, we're done. So stupid. This shit never works. It's a overreach of power in the name of woke bullshit. And this is what they say about politics. In America, you can see it very clearly in America. It's happening in Canada too, but in America you can see it. The party that's in power has no righteousness. They are wasting everyone's time. Democrats right now, they have power, useless. Can't stand up for a goddamn thing. And then Trudeau in Canada, same thing. Garbage. Can't stand up for anything, can't just do his job right. I mean, even with these truckers' protests, they're honoring a Nazi, they're bringing in Nazi. These truckers did a peaceful protest, and they said, "Oh, these guys must be Nazis. We got to shut them down. We got to kill them." Not kill them, but we have to shut them down. We have to freeze their bank accounts. Who the fuck do you think you are? No righteousness, completely gone when you're in power. And now while these guys are out of power, they are so righteous, the conservatives. And then as they win, they'll lose their righteousness, and the liberals will regain their righteousness. This is the system that we're in, people. We think we're all separate from each other, but we're actually one giant organism. Isn't that crazy? I actually found this new channel on YouTube, incredible new channel. It's called Formscapes. And they're talking about, oh man, I gotta show you this shit, dude. It's so good. I can't believe, man, YouTube always shocks me at like what new shit's coming out on YouTube. There's always something new. Formscapes. Ascent. Let's see if it's Ascent. No. Hold on. You gotta see the thumbnail. Because right now, several of people in the audience have been saying that this righteousness scale is actually very helpful for them to even just look at it for their life. So this is a philosophy that takes this righteousness, our righteousness scale, and it goes further with it. This video, this top one I recommend, is called Descent of Light, Arthur Young, Rudolf Steiner, and the Reflexive. I mean, these guys are not scientists. They're more like philosopher scientists. Like, yeah, they're into esoteric philosophy and science. But this is very interesting. They basically calls it Descent of Light into Matter. And what they're saying is that our simulation that we're here in, this Leela, as I've been calling it, this simulation of our life, of this world, it's basically a simulation. If you get down to the atoms, the particles, it's basically all made out of lights, just like TV. It's all made out of little light particles inside. And so this describes how pure light, which is, if you look at our righteousness scale, is the top of the scale. Pure love and light is the top of the scale. And these guys explain how that pure light descends into matter. So light starts separating from itself to make atoms and to make physical material. And then how basically every time it separates, it's always creating an equal and opposite separation. There's always a yin and yang in all separations. And somewhere in this, he was saying basically that for every evil person in the world, like the evilest person in the world can only exist if their counterpart is equally as evil. And you can see it. I mean, I see it now with Trump. I don't like him. I think he's evil. But what he's basically shown more than anything is that the Democrats are fucking they're worse than him. The shit they're doing. They're worse, actually. Some of the stuff that they're doing, I mean, some of the stuff that Biden did, I never thought I'd look into Biden and find out that he's just locked black people up in jail for nothing. For nothing. Just to get some more money, just for a little money, for a little power. Hillary Clinton destroyed Libya. Obama's bombing, Syria, killing people. I mean, it's bad that Trump did a Muslim ban, but Obama did a Muslim bomb. I never would have looked into it. I never would have seen any of that if Trump didn't come along, and he did put that mirror up. He's evil too. I'm not saying he's good. He's bad, but it goes with this philosophy, this loving and light philosophy, that every evil actually comes from a neglect from the rest of us, and almost like a counterforcing evil that almost justifies and gives them the ability to rise up. They can only gain as much power as these people are doing evil. It's basically perfectly balanced according to this. It's so smart. You got to read it. You got to watch the video. It's so good, this video. I can't believe this guy made a video like this. And he's basically saying that in our lives, we're constantly going through these hero's journeys, but the entire thing is a big hero's journey. Like the light is descending into matter, and then the matter has to refine its light and reascend. And that's what we're doing right now. We're in a reascension game. We're in a game of moving closer to the love and the light. It's very complex. It's the most difficult game you could ever play. But if you stop trying, you win it automatically. It's crazy. Let me give you one more Chuangzi. Chuangzi. Tell me in the comments how you're feeling about these Chuangzis. This is incredible. This is interesting. This was a beautiful one I read. When an archer is shooting for fun, he has all his skill. If he shoots for a brass knuckle, he is already nervous. If he shoots for a prize of gold, he goes blind or sees two targets. He is out of his mind. His skill has not changed, but the prize divides him. He cares. He thinks more of winning than of shooting, and the need to win drains him of power. So what this poem is saying and what these Taoists teach is that there's an evil on one side, right? But if you're going out to fight that evil, you're in the process of becoming evil. You're supposed to live your life genuinely from the heart, doing what you love. That's the crazy thing. It's hard to imagine. It's hard to do it, you know? But it is the highest righteousness, people. I did want to talk about that Hassan Minhaj story because I think he's a great example of that shit too. It's like, what is he? Did you guys hear about the Hassan Minhaj story? Let's go to break time. You guys hear about the Hassan Minhaj thing? Rewind Cat says, if you stop trying, you have already won. I agree, but oh my god, the Manosphere guys would disagree. Yeah, the Manosphere guys are like, they're deep in trauma. They're basically like a broken people. They're like so deep in the trauma that they are the ambitious minded. Yeah. We suffer from the illusion that we are separate. I don't know who said that. Yeah, that's true. Only righteous as long as we are losing. Yeah, it's so sad. But I would say, like, it's not even righteous. You're not fully righteous when you're losing. It's basically like, here's an evil right here. You decide to go up against that evil. As you get closer and closer, you can only defeat them by matching their evil level. And that's why they say every revolutionary, once they win, they become a tyrant. But what Chuang Tzu would recommend is to not play this game at all. He would say this is a foolish game. Like, when it comes to your door and you have to, but it does leave you in a quandary where it's like, okay, so you don't do anything about politics? Yeah, I don't know. You don't do anything like to stop evil? It's complicated. Like, you have to stop evil, like he says in the other poem, where he says, let me just read that part again, actually. The greatest politeness is free from formality. Perfect conduct is free from concern. Perfect wisdom is unplanned. Perfect love is without demonstrations. Perfect sincerity offers no guarantee. Basically, you have to be like a warrior who responds in the moment to injustice. So it's like injustice is there. You have to be able to stand in there and say, no, this is wrong. And then whatever comes out of it comes. Like, then that guy might hit you and then you get in a fight. Like, that's okay. Because it's spontaneous, it's in the moment, it's genuine, it's real. But when you start making a group, or like planning, like, okay, let's get revenge on this guy or let's do something, whatever, then you are not evil, but you are on that road, kind of. And the world is doing this to you. It's trying to traumatize you. It's Kali Yuga, people. All podcasts must be French, LOL. Oh my god, imagine they just enforce like 30% French. Regulate podcasts, love it. Regulate a podcast? That's a technical foul. That's good. It's true, man. How are you going to fucking regulate a podcast? You're crazy. We need an indigenous version of Bob and Doug McKenzie. Rewind Cat. Do we? I mean, it would be great characters. And it would be very real and cool. And I got to say, like, the best Canadian comedy in the last 10 years has been all about poor people. It's the best shit. Trailer Park Boys and Letterkenny. They're like rural, like not, you know what I mean? Like that is cool shit. So I think, yeah, like indigenous art is going to be incredible in the next 10, 20 years. But, you know, you can't it's so fake to be like, okay, you didn't talk about indigenous. Yep, politics doesn't work. The party system, etc. I think we have outgrown it, but I don't have any better ideas. Yeah. Rewind Cat, as the weeks go on, I'll be covering more stories from Chuang Tzu and that political era. Because they've gone through all this. In China, they've gone through all this. Next episode, we're going to talk about the Hassan Minhaj thing. Yeah, I should have talked about it today. Didn't get to it. We'll talk about it next time. And then Khalistan back on Friday. Let's talk on Friday again. Hey, all, just got the notification. Hope you're all good. No, man, I put it up. I put it up since yesterday, I think. But I'll try to put up a notification for Friday's show today at some point. Zelensky didn't even know. Yeah. Yo, thanks for coming, everyone. Appreciate you. Hassan, he went full Smollett. Oh, my God. Yes, sir. Hassan Minhaj gets what's coming to him all these years. Empress Lane, not a fan of Hassan Minhaj, eh? Interesting. Well, thanks for coming, everyone. Make sure you keep raising the vibration. And make sure you thank everyone in the audience who's rocking those ranches. Those ranches look good on y'all. Those ranches look mighty fine. And Rewind Cat made our graphics too. He actually helped us with a lot of graphics. So thank you, Rewind Cat. Thank you to all the people with that ranch doing security in there. And that's it, people. I'm going to get out of here. Let's go upbeat on it, though. Oh my goodness, I got to do a tinkle. Drink too much coffee.